Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today it is another attempted repair. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I'm going to let the electric derby down here decide for me. It's going to be either the Dell All-in-One computer here or an Apple MacBook Pro 17-inch. So let's call this one odds and this one evens. So 1, 3 or 5 I'm going to be looking at the Dell All-in-One. 2, 4 or 6 I'm going to be looking at the Apple MacBook. So come on, electric derby, show me my destiny. Five! Wait, it is the Dell All-in-One computer here. So let's unpack it properly and plug it in and see exactly what it's doing. I'll also show you the eBay listing. Here it is all unpacked, and it all looks like good quality stuff. Nice heavy duty stands, doesn't feel overly plasticky. Look at the size of this power brick here. Absolutely massive. Now interestingly, there was a little sticker here with a name and a phone number on it, and also like a repair shop website. So it looks like it has possibly been looked at before the seller. Maybe it was looked at and then given to the seller, because I believe this seller is a not-for-profit organisation that give low-cost computing to people in the area, so kind of like a charity, I think. So yes, it was a bit of a win-win. Now I didn't get it for a bargain whatsoever. I paid £250 UK for it, which is a lot of money. So there are the specs there. I've done no research into this whatsoever. It says, we have available this cosmetically excellent Dell All-in-One machine. This has been sold as spares or repairs. The desktop has been inspected by our team. It powers on, the power button lights up and the internal fans spin. There is no power on the screen. No beeps to suggest a problem, even with the RAM removed. Suspected motherboard fault, but the actual fault is unknown. Screen appears in good order, but can't be properly tested. Comes with everything except the hard drive, which has been removed. Power supply also included. So let's plug it in, and let's see what's going on. What I'm thinking is, it says here that it's got HDMI out and HDMI in. So if we get HDMI in going into it, we'll see if the monitor itself is working, and then we definitely know it's a fault with maybe the motherboard, but maybe the monitor's working. Maybe I can do HDMI out to a monitor or a TV to see if it's displaying on that, in case the fault is on the monitor. It's very heavy. Right, so let's turn it on here, and we have an amber light. And now it's gone to clear. Is anything coming up on screen? I've got a torch here in case this may be a backlight issue. Right, well I can't see anything, but then again I don't know what's supposed to come up. Right, let's get my one little MacBook Air that I repaired, the water damaged one, still going strong. Let's plug this into here and see if it displays using it as a monitor. Right, there's nothing happening now. We've still got a white light on here though. Let's see if it's recognising it as a display. Right, displays. There we go, look at that, it's recognised it. Inspiron 5475. Is that what this is supposed to be? 1 second. 5475, yeah, that's what the seller's got it down as. Right, so 23.5 inch, 1080p basically. But look, nothing's coming up on screen here, is it? So, although it's being recognised, it's still not coming up here. Now, I've already looked at the instructions, and this button here is supposed to be to do the different inputs. Right, I think what we should do is now plug this into my TV and see if anything's coming up, in case this monitor could be faulty, in which case then it's not going to display this, and because right now it is displaying this because it's recognised here, but yeah, maybe the monitor itself is faulty. Right, let's turn that off. Give me a few minutes, I'm just going to get a HDMI cable from my TV. I've got the cable coming out of the other port now, which is the output port, going over to the TV. So let's now plug it in. Turn it on, I mean. Right, so we've got an orange light. It's gone to a white light. Let's see if the TV recognises it. What did that say? Keyboard failure or something. Default boot device missing or boot failed. Insert recovery media and then hit any key. Then select boot manager to choose a new boot device or boot recovery media. Well, it's going to say that, isn't it? Because there's no hard drive in it. So it looks like the problem is to do with the display. I hope it's not cracked. Right, let's take this apart. So basically, it looks like, well, I presume the seller obviously didn't connect it to an external display. That looks like the computer side of things is working. I bet you if I had a proper hard drive in there, it would actually come up. Let's take it over to the blue mat and take it apart, and let's see if we can find out what exactly is wrong with this. So here we have it. It's pretty big. Now, I can't rest the screen on my blue mat because then if it isn't already broken, it will break with all my messing around. So I've put it on a load of bubble wrap. Excuse me if there's all massive squeaking and stuff coming from the video. So I can't really help that. All right, I've seen 2 screws here. I'm going to undo them. I'm hoping maybe this might hinge off or unclip or something. So while I'm struggling to get into this, let's give a shout out to the sponsors of this video. The My Mate Vince Massive, the group over on Patreon that support at the top level. And this month that consists of Operational 117, KipDigital.com, Kip Hakes, Max Rokotansky, Having Fun Repairs, Ellensburg Amplifier Repair and Service, Will Michaelis, Chris Seal, the My Mate Vince Fan Club. Why is that not coming out? Dorian from Hoover Lux Restorations, Doctor Restoration, Mr. Directory, Mediasteamer.com, Jaw Emotive Garage, and Rob Hughes. So massive thanks to everybody on the Massive and all the other Patreons that support these videos. There we go. You just, oh, that's nice. You just slide that up there. Okay. Pretty dusty. So it's had a bit of use. Fan here, right, hard drive used to go here. So I need to get into this area here. I can feel quite a bit of warmth. I need to get into this area here to see what's going on. Nicely, they've labelled up all the screws. So you can see like M3, 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 M3. So that's nice. Alright, that's the BIOS battery there, isn't it? Well, I'll tell you what we do. Well, is it even worth taking out the BIOS battery? It goes to BIOS. It's not going to be that, is it? Well, we got the RAM here, 4 GB. Wi-Fi card. Not sure what that is. Maybe would that be the platform controller hub? So, what are we concerned with now? We're concerned with the screen side of things. Where does the screen even attach? Would it be this one here? Could it be this one? It could be any of them really, couldn't it? How much do I need to take apart? So this is for the hard drive here. I don't really need to worry about that yet. Oh, this is for your SSD here. Well, do you know what? Just in case it was something obvious, like this not allowing the display. Let's pop out the battery. Let's give that a little measure. Into volts DC. 3 volts. Yeah, okay, well that's okay, isn't it? I wonder if we turn it on with the back off, would we see any backlights? Because I don't think I've seen backlights coming on, but it's kind of hard to tell when you've got the glare off the room. Also, what are these little pins here for? There's little jumper things down here. I wonder, is it possible that something's been jumpered up incorrectly? Mind you, it wouldn't have, it went 40 in the first place. It's just that, do you know, when some other people have been looking at it, possibly more than one lot of people, you don't know what's been changed along the way. Well, I can't see any water damage on it. It all looks spotless, really, doesn't it? Okay, that says touch. So that must be for the touch screen. I wonder, is this for the screen then? Motherboard, power, battery. Well, look, that definitely says touch, so maybe let's turn it on now without the touchscreen, just in case that was putting some weird fault on it. I tell you what, there was definitely a Dell service manual. Rather than me guessing, let's have a look. Have a look at the service manual and see what that says. Where the what connectors what. I'm having a look here at this little jumper. I'll zoom in a minute. There's a jumper thing here, and also there's a little thing that tells you what the jumpers mean. And at the moment, it is in service mode. So maybe I need to take this out and see what it does then. I think it's worth messing around with that. Having a look on this one here, I know it's just a picture, but this one is in the middle. It's in the middle one, which is in the password clear. So I think I'm going to take the jumper wire, the jumper connector out, and let's see if that makes any difference. So let's put the touchscreen back in. Let's take this out completely to begin with, and plug it back in and see if anything happens now. So I'm wondering if it works, whether you'd see a backlight through here or not. I don't know if I can, I think I can see white down there. Well, that doesn't appear to be doing anything. Turn it off, and then I'm going to put the jumper in the middle ones. Now let's turn it on again. No, there's nothing happening. I mean, I hope I'm right in thinking that it will turn on the screen here without a hard drive in. I mean, it works on the TV, so surely this is just enabling the screen is the same as a TV. It's just not done via the HDMI port. Well, I think we need to. I think we do need to strip it down further. We need to find out where the screen cable is. And thinking about this here, I suppose the graphics is integrated into this chip here. It's just when I seen Radeon R7, I think it said, in the sales thing. Yeah, Radeon R7, I just sort of presumed that would be a separate chip, but I presumed wrong. Oh, do you know what? Maybe this is the one here, because look, motherboard DISPC. So would that mean display cable? So maybe that is the one there. This one here. Right, okay, where does that actually go off to? Right, it goes off down here somewhere. Bet you that's it. Okay, so I've got the board out. We'll have a close look at it later, but right now it appears to be okay. At long last, I got it off. That was a nightmare because there's just so many clips around the edges that need undoing. Gives me an opportunity though to give it a good clean if we can get this up and running. Right, so these must be the speakers, so they look pretty big. There we go, now I'm starting to get access in there. Now with this, there you go, LVDS1. Here we go. This must be it here. This one here, and then maybe the board. Where was that cable that I was looking at before? I'm getting all mixed up. Display, this one here. This goes down to here. So maybe it goes through this board to go to, to go to the other board. Right, now, what's going on here? How does this thing undo, I wonder? So this is going to be a little bit awkward now because the rear I/O board. The thing that's going to make this awkward is that I've got two boards to fault find now. So if I had another one of these, you could swap them over. And then if it started to display, you could swap this board over. If it started to display, you know the fault's on this board. But right now, how do I know whether I'm going to be fault finding this board or the other board? That's a little bit awkward, isn't it? And I suppose it makes sense because this is where the HDMI and stuff comes out. So this is the board that generates the signals for the display, maybe. Anyway, let's have a look up here, see if we can make ourselves a bit of room. Okay, that pulls out there. Right, okay, so this must be going through to the screen here. And then where did that touch one go to? Touch, let's see where that goes to. Down here. Under here somewhere. Let's pop this board out. Do you know what I'm wondering now? I'm wondering maybe if I should put it back together, get a hard drive in here. It could be a driver issue, couldn't it? Because this all looks perfect. There's no sign of water damage or anything, so maybe the original owner updated it and I don't know, power cut in the middle of updating or something, or there was some incompatibility and then they didn't take it any further than that, and maybe repair shops have been looking for a fault rather than looking for driver issues. So I might get a hard drive in here before we take it any further. Oh, there we go, it says LVDS and touch. What I would like to do though is I would like to see where this connector goes to, because it could be the connector that's faulty. Do you remember that little Asus laptop that I had? So this one might go down to here. So I think before I mess around with the hard drive, let's take it all apart, because I could do a continuity test on the pins from here to here. It could be a fault with the cable. Also, this cable looks like it's been messed around with already. Okay, I have the screen out of it. Right, and this goes here. I wonder if that's the backlight then. This one here. Right, so these are all the cables going to the screen that is not working. So I think what we need to do is test each of them and see if they're okay. Because obviously I won't be able to fix the panel if the panel's gone. Take out this little cable as well. Right, I am going to test all of these for continuity. So for example, if I go on that pin there, then I'm looking for continuity over here. And the next one, and move along. And then when it comes to this one here, again, I'm going to be, for example, going on that pin there and then making sure it comes up here, next one, and just moving my way all the way along. Hopefully I might find something. So I'll check from continuity, this cable, this cable, this cable, and also the little tiny backlight cable down here, and it's there's perfect continuity. On one of them, this one here, I've got extra cables here than here, but then these two brown cables loop round on each other, so they're shorted to each other, so it must be just using it as a little bit of a link. I've just roughly gone across a few capacitors just around here just to see if there's anything shorting, and there's not. So if I was to take a ground from here and if I was to go across some of the capacitors feeding from this kind of area, then they're all showing okay. I'm wondering if this is the chip here that deals with the display and also the backlight. Not too sure, but I can look that up online. But I think before I do any of that, I think the wise thing would be to put it roughly back together, not with all the screws and everything, but roughly back together, and try to get a hard drive in here and try to get Windows 10 working on the TV, because we know we definitely had it boot into the TV. Then if I get that all up and running, then it might be a driver issue for this not working. And if that's the case, then there's no point in me messing around with this. I'm just a bit curious as to why the people before me didn't look at the drivers, so maybe they did. It's just that there's no water damage on this board whatsoever. I can't see any burnt components. I can't see any burnt components on the other board. I haven't looked through it from the microscope yet, but just a visual look with my eye, it all looks immaculate. And this thing's only from 2017. It's not very old. So I think I'm going to go more down the driver route to begin with, and then if it's all working fine on the TV and all the drivers are up to date, then I can fault find it further to find out why it's not displaying on here. So the next time you see this, it will be roughly back together. Hopefully it will have a hard drive in, and hopefully Windows 10 will be working on the TV, or I'll have more information for you to say what the problems are. So it appears to be going through. You can see Windows up there getting ready. So I've just got a little CD DVD drive there with the Windows 10 software on. I need to get it onto USB because apparently it's much quicker when you get it off USB rather than the disk. And I've just got the keyboard in there with the little dongle plugged into the back here. All in there. Well, interestingly, the speakers are definitely working, they're booming out, and also the microphones are working because it's recognising my voice. So watch this.
Do you also type with another keyboard layout?
No.
Now let's get you connected to a network. That way you can get updates, apps, and cat videos as soon as possible.
So Windows is loaded up, and now I'm updating it because it's an old version that's got loaded up, so I need to update it to 20H2. Then when all that has gone through, I'm going to then concentrate on the drivers, because when I went into device, let's have a look here. Here, device manager, there's definitely ones that are not recognised, but I haven't gone through them all yet. I've just had a quick look there, and there's ones there that are not recognised. So yeah, let's get it fully updated with the recent Windows 10, and then we'll worry about the drivers after that. So just a quick update with what's going on. I have actually spent hours upon hours on this. So it's never really got a chance to download to the latest Windows because I have to keep turning it off and doing other things to it. But now I am just going to let it update fully to the latest Windows. But I've tried doing all the drivers via Dell. I've tried doing the drivers manually. It's not making any difference. But there's a lot more things wrong with this than I initially thought. So basically, not only does the screen and the touch screen not work, the Bluetooth's not working, and also the camera's not working. I've taken the heatsink off. The thermal paste and everything is still wet. None of the pins are bent. That all looks normal. What I've also done is I've disconnected one by one every single connector on here and then turned it back on. If I disconnect the display cable here, I get a flashing light on the light down here to say that the display's faulty and it won't turn on. If I disconnect this one, it will still turn on. What else now? This one, it won't work with the keyboard because this is for USB. There's one over here that's for USB-C. One of them is the display thing going off there. And then what I did is I disconnected all of the speakers and the microphones and stuff just in case they were putting a fault on, and turned it on every single time. I have never seen even a flicker of light come out of this backlight at all. Weird thing is, when I go into this connector down here, I do have 19 volts. So if I was to get this here now, just put it to voltage, pop that in there, and if I go on to the middle pins here, you will see it will say 19.5 volts. Again, I don't know if that's the thing driving the backlight, or is that just the 19 volts for this board down here. So this is the massive problem I've got, and this is why this one's been so annoying for me. Is the fault with the display and the backlight? It could be. Is the fault with this board here? It could be. It could be a fault with the CPU or something here not powering something that needs to power the display. Is the fault on this board here? This board here has all the connections for the HDMI and the display cable and stuff. So it could be a fault there. But mostly what I think it is, I think it's some incompatibility thing with drivers. I've looked up, and if you Google this particular model, loads of people are saying that their Bluetooth's not working, their touchscreen's not working, and most people think it's driver related rather than motherboard related. So I'm not sure if this one's plagued with problems or what the story is. The problem I've got is I am no closer to knowing what the problem is whatsoever, and I can't replace the whole thing. So what I've done is I've ordered up one of these boards here. I'm not going to order one of these boards because they're £200, and that doesn't even come with the CPU anyway. And if the CPU is faulty, then it's not going to make a difference changing the motherboard bit there. But this board here was only £22. So I'm changing this board out just in case that this is the thing powering the screen and stuff. Maybe this is not generating the right voltages or something to power, or maybe that chip's faulty. So that's an easy thing to replace and cheap. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I have lost track on the amount of days I've been on this, but I'm still waiting for my replacement board to arrive. But I've been taking it a lot further with trying to understand how this works. Now, most of it has been off camera. It's just been going on for too long to make it into a viable video. So this video is going to be all over the place. But I'm nearly certain now that the fault is on this chip here. And let me explain why. So what I've been doing is I've been looking up the CPU, because I think the last part of the video, I don't really know now, but I think the last part of the video I was unsure if it was this board, the main board, driver related or CPU related. So I wanted to kind of rule out the CPU. Now I haven't got another CPU to fit. I've got very few computer parts to be able to swap things around, so I'm going into this very blindly. But I got the pin out for the AMD chip that I have. And just in case you're curious what the chip is, let me get my phone. It is this fella here, AMD. Well, actually, you know that already because that's what was written on the eBay listing. But at least there, it confirms that the eBay listing was correct. So it's that chip there. So I got the pin out for this online. What I've been following is the display ports, because there's nothing on here that's linked to, that's labelled up as HDMI. It's linked as DisplayPort. So although this is HDMI ports on here and here, I think it leaves the chip as a DisplayPort signal. Now this is interesting. On that chip it looks like there's 3 DisplayPort outputs: DisplayPort 0, DisplayPort 1 and DisplayPort 2. So now I've been tracing them from the socket and I found which pins it was, and I've been using things like needles, just resting them on the contacts and then using continuity to see where they go to on the board. And interestingly enough, DisplayPort 2 does not exist on this, which I suppose is fair enough, because DisplayPort 0 I'm thinking is going to be the output for the display, and DisplayPort 1 is going to be the output for here, the HDMI outputs that's currently working. So that makes me think now, when I've gone across DisplayPort 0 and DisplayPort 1, they come up on the display connector on the main board, which then goes through to this display connector here. Now let's zoom in and I want to show you how this display connector works and the reason why I think, I'm almost certain that this chip here is the one at fault. So let me use my little needle to point around the place. So here we have the display connector. Now can you see where we've got all these pairs, these 2 wires, 2 wires, 2 wires, 2 wires? This reminds me very much of HDMI, where these are the signals for the actual display, and then you have other pins that are like hot detect and, you know, CEC enable and stuff like that. But now I know that coming from my chip, the equivalent of this on the main board has DisplayPort 0 and DisplayPort 1. And it looks like it's split in 2. So all the DisplayPort 1s go to one side of the connector, all the DisplayPort 0s go to the other side. So it looks like we have 2 signals on the one connector. Now look at this one here. This one works its way down, it works its way down, it goes round here, and where does it go into? It goes into this DP159, which is the Xbox One S redriver chip that goes before the HDMI port that often goes faulty, and then from there it goes into the HDMI here, and we know that this works because we've got display on my TV. So that says to me that part of the CPU is actually working. Yeah. Now if that part of the CPU is working, there's probably a good chance that the other display port on the CPU is working and we've got a fault elsewhere, because I think CPUs generally are quite reliable. So that's quite interesting there, that is converting DisplayPort into HDMI. Remember, this is just all what I think. It could be completely wrong. Now, when it comes to the ones on this side, can you see they go down? These signals go down to these little wires here. And then if we look on this side of the board, the wires go from here and they work their way down, 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 and look where they go to, here. And then if we flip the board back over again, the wires here, they come up just before the capacitors on this chip here. And then this chip, so we know the DisplayPort signal is coming into here because I've got continuity all the way up to here. Then it goes into here, and then looks what happens. It goes up here to the LVDS, and this goes into the display cable on the actual monitor itself, you know, the thing that I'm trying to fix, the screen. Yeah. Now, we know that we've got no output on the screen, but also we know that the input HDMI is not working. So this is HDMI out. We know this is working here. HDMI out. HDMI in is not working. Please don't comment on the way I say H. That's just what a lot of people with my background say. Now, if you have a look here, where does this go to? This also travels up. Look at these signals here. They go through these little filters and they travel up and they go into this chip here. So now, what's the thing in common? The thing in common, which is not working, is this chip here, because we haven't got the display cable working and we haven't got the HDMI in working either. So I'm almost certain now that this is faulty. And I don't know if it will come across in the camera, but the chip looks ever so slightly burnt down in this, not burnt, but just discolored in this area here, as if it's been overheated. So when my board arrives, I'm almost certain now it's going to work, because I think the problem is on this one here. So that's the research that I've been doing, and yeah, I'll start the video up again when I have the replacement board. So my replacement board arrived. I installed it. It's here. It's definitely the same model. Do you think it's worked? Ta-da! Yes, it has. Here it is. But there's always a but. When I first will put it in there, the touchscreen's not working. Now, I don't actually know if this model has a touchscreen. I know it's labelled up on the board, but I don't know if the monitor itself is touchscreen. Also, the camera is still not working, this little camera down here. And I didn't actually test the Bluetooth. But I think that they might be more driver related issues. So what I'm doing is I'm updating it again. This thing needs so many updates, but I'm hoping now when this update goes through that maybe we might have something. And then what I'm going to do is put it fully back together. I've already changed out the thermal paste. I'm going to put all the screws and everything back in, because even if the touchscreen's not working, I don't think that's going to be a hardware issue, or even if it is, I'm not going to replace the screen on here, unless of course it was something on the board. See, the problem I've got is I don't know whether this should have a touchscreen or not. I thought that was the whole idea of them, but looking online, I think that they were available without touchscreen. I need to do more research into it. But yeah, I'm going to put it all back together, give it a bit of a clean up, and then just mess around with the drivers for a bit. Hopefully the next time you see this video, I'll know for sure what is working and what isn't working. But 100% now, it's got some kind of value, because as you can see, it's going to work as a normal computer anyway, even if the touchscreen doesn't work, even if the camera doesn't work. It's no biggie really. You could always plug in a USB camera if you so desired. So that's fantastic news, and that board was only 20 something pounds. So yeah, good news. I'll see you in a bit. So I let it update and the touchscreen's still not working. So I've just gone onto the Dell page here and I'm just letting it automatically find driver updates for you, because now when I go into Device Manager, let me just go down here, it's actually coming up with unknown device that I haven't seen before. So here we have other devices, unknown device, and that never came up before. I'm hoping that's the device for the touchscreen, which would be nice. So I'll get back to this later with hopefully good news. A few hours later now, it's just taken ages to update everything and it's still not fully working. Touchscreen's not working, Bluetooth's not working, camera's not working. Yet, when I disconnect the camera and plug it in when it's live like this, the camera works perfectly. I can record myself on video, I can take pictures. So I know it's not a physical fault with the camera, it's some annoying driver incompatibility issue. I remember when I did the little, I think it was the Acer 2-in-1 tablet, I had driver issues on that, and quite a few people have said in the comments that I should have tried, you know, different driver install things. And I just read that now, and a few people recommended this Snappy Driver Installer. So this is supposed to be free, it's supposed to be open source, it's supposed to be safe. Obviously, I don't know that, but I've downloaded it and I've had a quick look online, and other people are also mentioning that this is a good one to use online and it's safe to use. So if you have a look here, sure enough, it has picked up. What I've done is I haven't downloaded the one where you have like 27 gigabytes and it stores all the drivers on a USB stick. I've just let it pick my computer and pick the drivers needed for this. And if I just go onto the very first one here, this Realtek USB card reader, which I haven't even tried the card reader yet, but sure enough, the available driver is different than the driver that's installed, even though this is fully up to date on Windows 10. This is running the latest Windows 10 on here because I've spent all day doing it. If you have a look at the date here, it's 2019, yet the date here is 2020. This PC, you see, could have multiple faults. Maybe the display issue was the last thing to go, but maybe a year before that, maybe the touchscreen went, the webcam went and the Bluetooth went, because let's face it, it's still fully usable without those things working. So yeah, I think the end of this video will just be it back together, working as working as a PC, but without things like the touchscreen working. So at long last, this video has come to an end. I've put it all back together, given it a nice good clean. It's come up like new. The stand is really well made. The whole thing has a massive amount of weight to it, and it all looks really well made. So I should be pleased, shouldn't I? Because we do have a functioning PC that you can use. But I'm not pleased because the touchscreen's not working, the webcam's not working unless you unplug it and plug it back in again, which is really weird, and the Bluetooth is not being recognised whatsoever. And I don't believe they're hardware problems. I think it's all driver related. But I've been enabling, disabling, uninstalling, installing, doing drivers from all throughout the years, tried loads of different ones. I'm not getting anywhere with it whatsoever. So too many people are saying online that when they updated Windows 10, the touchscreen and the webcam stopped working for it to be a coincidence. In my opinion, I think it's all linked, and I think it's driver related. So I'm not going to waste any more time on it, but unfortunately this isn't fully working. But the thing is, it is working like a normal PC does. The PCs in my house don't have touchscreen, they haven't got webcams, some of them haven't got Bluetooth, and yet I'm quite happy with them. The only reason I'm not happy with this is because it should have a touchscreen, and because it hasn't, it makes it quite annoying. But still, I think money-wise, I think it was a fair enough price, because £250, and then I spent about £22 on the card there, so I'm in it £270 something. But remember, you can use this as a monitor anyway, and a monitor, 1080p monitor with good speakers. The speakers sound really good on this, and the screen's nice and bright. It's I don't know, the screen looks nice. So I think that would probably cost you over £100 anyway. So then if you're getting the PC thrown on the back of it for an extra £150, let's say, then it's not too bad. I think it's probably about the money. It's not overly powerful. It's fine for going on the internet and stuff, but when I tried to play a couple of games, it seems a little bit glitchy. And even that's at 720p, so it wouldn't be that good for gaming. But yeah, look, it is what it is. At least I got something out of it. But apologies, because I think the video is going to be all over the place, because it's been going on for over a week now, and so many things have been done off camera. It would be impossible to film it all because so much has actually happened to this. But still, if you have one of these and it's faulty and it's not displaying, there's a good chance now that hopefully it's the same problem as mine. If you get yourself another one of these boards, then that's a cheaper way to fix it than looking into buying a main board or a new screen or anything like that. And hopefully, if it's anything like mine, it might work as well. So yeah, it's all working good as a PC. So I suppose it is a partial success. Maybe next time, if I ever do an all-in-one again, it might be fully working, which would be a nicer feeling. Right, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Take care, everyone.